Recently, in a move towards a better society, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot announced that she will only be doing interviews with journalists of color. But my administration will be taking progress one step further by only doing interviews with female journalists of color. Will interview, won't interview. Yeah, I'd like to do a long interview with her. We're actually trying to get this guy banned from the premises altogether. We're also recommending that the female journalists don't tell the men in their lives about our sessions, even their husbands, because we don't want their energy overshadowing progress. Definitely won't be invited. We've also decided that we'll only be doing interviews with journalists under 40. These two are probably a little old. To give younger female journalists a shot to thrive. Oh, hello. I think we get a few more Latinx journalists, maybe like a J-Lo vibe, but a bit younger. We will also be utilizing candles instead of traditional lights at these interviews in order to combat global warming.
Hey, it's progressive. Welcome back, extra beautiful, extra amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski of WeAreChange.org. The news can't seem to get any crazier, and yet it does, especially with the latest news of what looks like a massive cover-up underway right now that, of course, we will be talking about, as well as another scientific study concluding what we've been telling you for now over a year that the mainstream media has been utterly denying. We're going to talk about that, plus all the latest news, geopolitical developments. But before we do that, plus a lot more, the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is by Ryan Long. The link to the full video and his channel will be down in the description below. And I think his work is definitely undervalued and deserves a lot more views than he's getting right now, so definitely check him out after this video. Now, before jumping into our main issue, focusing on geopolitics, I think it's very fair to say that the relationship between the United States and Russia definitely hasn't been a harmonious one, especially with the latest announcement from the Secretary of State saying that Vladimir Putin will be held accountable for the ransom attacks that caused meat and gas shortages. How do we know it was Russia behind these ransom cyber attacks? Well, we don't. There's intelligence agencies contesting that. There's also the fact that the tools created for these cyber ransom attacks were created by the NSA in the first place, and in the online digital space, spoofing your location and pretending to be someone else is very common. Now, this is happening as the Russian president just signed a bill withdrawing Russia from the Open Skies Treaty, which opens up the possibility of Russian and American spy planes surveilling each other's military facilities. And as tensions are made deliberately worse with Russia, China, on the other hand, is also modernizing, upgrading its military, and doing some extreme saber rattling over a U.S. military plane that landed in Taiwan, a country that China does not officially recognize and looks like it's becoming more and more of a clash point between the West and the East. And as most Americans are ignorant of American foreign policy domestically, they are being pulled to be a part of the divide and conquer agenda as major educational establishments and universities literally siphon off tens of thousands of dollars to absolute lunatics that talk about their fantasies of eliminating a group of people because of the way that they were born. Yes, a psychiatrist at Yale gave a lecture describing how she wanted to violently end all white people. And this type of hyperbolic, sensational language is, of course, tolerated on big tech social media that usually allows this type of language only specifically when it's directed at white people, while, of course, having a heavy hand against memes that criticize the mainstream media establishment. And I think U.S. Senator Ted Cruz said it correctly here, even though I don't agree with him on a lot of issues, when he said specifically, big tech is operating as an extension of the U.S. government, and those racial divisive policies are definitely perfectly represented in this new Biden government, which of course big tech social media also proudly represents. And because of that, a lot of people are saying enough is enough, moving away from big tech platforms. They're checking out things like LukeUncensored.com. Again, I don't know if I said that clear enough. LukeUncensored.com, and joining those platforms in order to get information that would automatically be scrubbed off of big tech platforms. You want that information? Click the link down in the description below and find out more information about it. Seriously, I'm having a lot of fun there, and we're also going to make this a social media platform where all of us are going to be able to talk, build, grow, do local meetups, and a lot more soon coming on lukeuncensored.com. The price will be going up later this year. Sign up now before it goes up. Also, with all the latest nonsense going around, some people are choosing to get second residencies in other countries. And if you're interested in getting some property in Roatan, Honduras, a place that I've been to before, it's absolutely beautiful, even though I got bed bugs there. Long story, I don't want to talk about it, even though I went through that. I had an absolute blast in that city. That was absolutely incredible. If you're interested in visiting or possibly buying a property there, check out relocatesafe.com. Their information is also available down in the description below. Now, today there were major bombshells dropped on the American public that truly have a lot of ramifications, and I'm talking about two big particular stories that should be front page news. The first of which is that the scientist who warned Dr. Fauci that this sickness could have been engineered looks like he is trying to scrub off everything he can from social media, from the general public, after, of course, a lot of people are asking some legitimate questions like, hey, scientists, where the hell are you now during this large discussion trying to figure out what happened with the most devastating attack on the human population in recent history? Now, the scientists claimed that the tweets were, quote, auto-deleted, which really doesn't seem that credible. After that, he deleted his entire account on Twitter, showing that he had some information to hide there that he did not want the general public to see. What is he covering up? What is he trying to hide? Well, there's a lot of suspicious activities between him, Dr. Fauci, and the ruling establishment that has been lying to us from the very beginning. As the second biggest story that came out today is the fact that there was a new study that concluded that this sickness most likely was lab engineered, and of course we've been talking about that for months. But now there's yet another peer-reviewed scientific study that is showing that the genetic structure of this illness has very rare and unnatural combinations which have been commonly used in human researchers. This again, and to see this now finally being acknowledged, finally being talked about by the major media organizations after yet another study concluding what we've been telling you, which of course has massive implications on Dr. Fauci, on China, geopolitical relations, and how we move forward from all of this, since a lot of people were bamboozled, were lied to, and the implications were more severe than could ever be expected. And now the information is absolutely overwhelming that this sickness almost absolutely came out of the level 3 Wuhan laboratory that Dr. Fauci was giving huge amounts of U.S. tax dollars to, with, of course, Peter Daszak, the same Peter Daszak that was in charge of investigating where this sickness came from, and the same Peter Daszak that is working with fact checkers censoring people who were critical of him, and of course of his theory and direct involvement in all of this. And we've been talking about this wide-ranging evidence. We even have more today, as a Chinese military scientist filed a patent for this sickness shot before the sickness was even declared to be global. That same person worked with the infamous Batwoman, and what more evidence do you need to have here? According to another whistleblower and Chinese virologist, she says, according to Fauci's emails, this verifies that this sickness came from this laboratory that was financed by U.S. tax dollars. Dr. Fauci even briefed world leaders that this escaped from this Wuhan laboratory last spring, all of course, as he was telling the general public that this somehow all became true because of a dude shoving a bat down his mouth. Yes, Dr. Fauci actively lied to the American public while warning other world leaders about what really happened here. He still continues to lie on almost a daily basis, doubling down that this was a dude eating a bat, that all of this happened naturally, and we know it didn't. The bigger question is, was this an accidental release by China, or was it a deliberate release by China? I actually talked about that extensively on lukeuncensored.com, but the consequences still are severe. Dr. Fauci, who's getting caught in lies almost every single day, who talked about not doing gain-of-function research, not backing it, not supporting it, coming out with a new video from 2012 showing him advocating for this gain-of-function research and even arguing that if this research created a global sickness, that it would be worth it. This, of course, as many medical experts said that the research was reckless, absolutely dangerous, and had no scientific benefit to it. Even some medical professionals saying the only benefit was to create a bioweapon that could be used by tyrannical governments in absolutely horrible ways. And now, according to the Australian, Donald Trump, quote, planned to haul Fauci and Daszak in front of a U.S. presidential commission and to even potentially demand reparations from China. And as we know, Donald Trump didn't do any of those things. We knew, the government knew a lot more than we know about now. And in hindsight, I think a lot of political commentators would argue that this would have been the right move to make. Why did Donald Trump not make it? Well, he didn't do a lot of things, even the things he promised he would. And to a lot of people, he has been an absolute disappointment, which in the hindsight of everything, I could definitely fully understand. Especially now with the White House that is backing Dr. Fauci, even though he is absolutely discredited through his email release, through all the information we found out. There's even people protesting Dr. Fauci, as of course the Bidens are supporting him more than ever, as even Jill Biden did a joint event with Dr. Fauci trying to make people do a medical procedure that has not been FDA approved. That also solely lies on the trust of that very same government that absolutely lies to you every step of the way. And with Dr. Fauci not being held accountable, he of course is pushing more of his policies as China, according to some intelligence sources and U.S. senators, is still continuing this very dangerous gain-of-function research and has even announced that they're going to be building 24 biolabs, just like the Wuhan Institute, in the next 5 years. Where's the Biden administration when it comes to this? Well, protecting and still employing the man who took your tax dollars and gave it to the Chinese to do this dangerous type of research. And that's absolutely mind-boggling. That's absolutely backwards, as the Biden administration keeps continuing their full frontal assault on the logic, critical thinking, and of course even being able to freely discuss ideas, as the Biden administration is still fully supporting a push against journalism in this country, which has been under attack. And I mean actual journalism. I don't mean just the constant brown-nosing, boot-licking, regurgitating of government talking points to you, which you see on the mainstream media outlets that are heavily promoted here, while independent media organizations are screwed over, downranked, and fully demonetized. But because of you actively sharing, getting this information out there, I am still here today, even stronger with LukeUncensored.com. In today's video, we are going to be talking about food additives, rushed medical procedures, so much more. All of it, LukeUncensored.com. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys sharing these videos, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org.